Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Prime Minister Narendra Modi en route to Malaysia, focus on strengthening comprehensive strategic partnership. Prime Minister Modi thanks President Trump for his personal commitment to robust ties as India and the US agree on a framework for an interim trade agreement. Trump signs order warning tariffs on nations doing business with Iran. US and Tehran to hold next round of talks next week. And in cricket, India to begin its T20 World Cup title defence as it faces the United States of America in Mumbai today. With an aim to boost comprehensive strategic partnership between India and Malaysia, Prime Minister Narendra Modi embarked on a two-day visit to Malaysia. In his departure statement, Prime Minister Modi wrote that he's being invited to Malaysia on the invitation of Prime Minister of Malaysia, Anwar Ibrahim, today. Let me read the departure statement of Prime Minister Modi, and I quote him here: embarking on an official visit to Malaysia at the invitation of my friend Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim today. The historic ties between India and Malaysia have seen steadfast progress in recent years. I look forward to my discussions with Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim and further enhancing our comprehensive strategic partnership. We will aim to deepen our defence and security ties, enhance our economic and innovation partnership, and expand our collaboration into new domains. I'm also eager to meet the Indian community in Malaysia, numbering nearly 3 million. They represent one of the largest Indian diasporas in the world. Their immense contribution to Malaysia's progress and their role as a living bridge between our two nations provides a strong foundation to our historic friendship. DD India correspondent spoke exclusively to the Indian High Commissioner to Malaysia, B.N. Reddy, on the significance of Prime Minister Modi's upcoming visit to Malaysia and the expected outcomes out of this important visit.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will soon be on his visit to Malaysia. This visit comes at a time when India and Malaysia both are getting renewed momentum in terms of strategy as well as economy. And to talk more on this and the visit's key priorities, we are joined in by High Commissioner of India to Malaysia, B.N. Reddy, sir. Thank you so much, High Commissioner, for speaking to us. What's in store? What's on the agenda?
Our relations with Malaysia, we see it as a key partner of India in India's Act East policy. Number two, they're also part of a vision Mahasagar and the larger Indo-Pacific policy of India. Now, if you were to look at all this in context, you would understand also, we can all see that the relationship is multidimensional, and hence the priorities are in diverse sectors. Yeah. Now, in this, the key priorities certainly are going to be in trade and investment to begin with, and also the economic cooperation which we are looking at. Then we have the defense, security, semiconductors, digital technologies. Then we have the renewable energy, education, healthcare, and of course the people-to-people exchange.
Semiconductor is one of the sectors where India and Malaysia are trying to, get in more probably investments and interests from private players.
One is at the government-to-government level to provide a kind of framework for collaboration in the semiconductors. Both governments are discussing on a memorandum of understanding. So there will be some reference to that during this discussion. Second is we're also looking at industry level collaboration to increase. Third is also on the research and research front. For example, Malaysia's Semicon Research Association and Indian counterparts, they're also in discussion on taking the leap into the R&D dimension, and last but not the least, most important I would call it, is the talent. It is here where I think both governments, both industry also recognizes the importance of the what do we call the talent. Just to put in perspective, state of Selangor is which produces close to 25% of the GDP of Malaysia. And here I think they're going to start based on this year training of a large number of Malaysian in the design of the chips.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, High Commissioner, for speaking to us.
Yeah.
Definitely a visit that will pave a roadmap for future engagements that India will have with Malaysia, as well as definitely a very huge and vibrant Indian diaspora that awaits Prime Minister Narendra Modi's arrival. This is Meghna Dev for DD India from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia.
IIT Madras Global recently entered into a strategic collaboration with Malaysia's Advanced Semiconductor Academy, positioning Indian talent, research and startups for global expansion. A report.
India's semiconductor ecosystem is gaining global momentum. IIT Madras Global recently announced an exploratory partnership with Malaysia's Advanced Semiconductor Academy, or ASEM, aimed at strengthening talent development, build domestic capabilities across chip design, fabrication, assembly and testing.
ASEM and IIT Madras will collaborate to build and nurture a future-ready talent pipeline in semiconductor and IC design, with a strong focus on the automotive industry, robotics and next-generation intelligent mobility sectors. This collaboration will place particular emphasis on low-emission and future mobility applications, including autonomous driving technologies, electric vehicle platforms, drones, and eVTOLs, the electrical vertical takeoff and landing systems, while supporting industry-ready skills, development, applied research, and innovation.
Under the framework, IIT Madras Global will design and deliver advanced skilling programs, executive education, leveraging IIT Madras' strong academic and research base, and ASEM will support outreach and industry enablement in Malaysia.
IIT Madras Global, they have recently signed an MOU with the state of Selangor. Just to put in perspective, state of Selangor is which produces close to 25% of the GDP of Malaysia. And here I think they're going to start based on this year training of a large number of Malaysian in the design of the chips. So IIT faculty will be involved in this, but it is IIT Madras Global. These are some of the examples of where things have already happened. Malaysia has a record of having almost close to 4 decades of development of semiconductors, and here there is a lot of potential for what they call is advanced technology enterprises.
Malaysia and India are signaling a push for closer cooperation in the semiconductor sector. Malaysia launched its National Semiconductor Strategy in 2024, focusing on modernizing chip packaging and testing, attracting high-end manufacturing equipment players and expanding existing fabs. India, in its latest budget, announced Semiconductor Mission 2.0, aimed at producing chip equipment and materials, developing full-stack Indian intellectual property and strengthening supply chains. Industry experts say the complementary strengths of both the countries make a strong case for collaboration.
Malaysia has a very strong semiconductor ecosystem. Something like 30% of their exports relate to semiconductor and allied products. So they have a really strong performance over many years in the area of semiconductors. They have almost 30-40 years experience in those areas. So we are in the process of establishing a multi-layered collaboration arrangement through a G2G MOU, semiconductor industry-led collaborations, and also R&D, both in terms of setting up fabrication centers, also assembly testing centers, etc. Our companies are also interested in collaborating with Malaysia.
As India's semicon industry gathers pace, India and Malaysia's semicon collaborations will help talent, research and startups plug directly into global semiconductor value chains. Meghna Dev reporting from Kuala Lumpur for DD India.
On to the other big news of the day. The United States and India have announced a framework for an interim agreement on reciprocal and mutually beneficial trade, marking a significant step towards advancing the broader US-India bilateral trade agreement negotiations launched by President Donald Trump and Prime Minister Narendra Modi in February 2025. As part of this framework, the United States will slash reciprocal tariffs on Indian goods to 18%, providing a huge market opportunity in key sectors such as textiles and apparel, leather and footwear, plastic and rubber products, organic chemicals, home decor, artisanal products and select machinery in the world's largest economy. Additionally, tariffs will go down to zero on a wide range of goods, including generic pharmaceuticals, gems and diamonds, and aircraft parts, thereby further enhancing India's export competitiveness and the Make in India initiative. India will also get exemptions under Section 232 on aircraft parts, tariff rate quota on auto parts, and negotiated outcomes on generic pharmaceuticals, leading to tangible export gains in these sectors. At the same time, the agreement reflects India's commitment to safeguarding farmers' interests and sustaining rural livelihoods by completely protecting sensitive agricultural and dairy products, including maize, wheat, rice, soya, poultry, milk, cheese, ethanol, tobacco, certain vegetables, meat, and so on. The two sides also agreed to significantly increase trade in technology products, including graphic processing units used in data centers, and to expand joint technology cooperation. Also, this agreement will help India and the US remain focused on working together to further deepen economic cooperation, reflecting shared commitment to sustainable growth for the people and the businesses. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Saturday hailed the India-US interim trade deal, terming it as great news for both India and the United States. Thanking US President Trump for his commitment to robust ties between India and the US, Prime Minister Modi said this framework reflects the growing depth, trust and dynamism of India-US partnership. Prime Minister Modi in a social media post said that this agreement strengthens Make in India by opening new opportunities for India's hard-working farmers, entrepreneurs, MSMEs, startup, fishermen and more. It will generate large-scale employment for women and youngsters. PM Modi further said that India and the United States share a commitment to promoting innovation, and this framework will further deepen investment and technology partnerships between the two countries. He said this framework will also strengthen resilient and trusted supply chains and contribute to global growth. The Prime Minister stressed, as India moves forward towards building a developed India, Viksit Bharat, we remain committed to building global partnerships that are future-oriented, empower our people and contribute to shared prosperity. Hailing the joint India-US statement, India's Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal in a social media post said, and I quote him here, under the decisive leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, India has reached a framework for the interim agreement with the United States. This will open a $30 trillion market for Indian exporters, especially medium, small and micro enterprises, farmers and fishermen. The increase in exports will create lakhs of new job opportunities for our women and youth, unquote. The industry also hailed the interim trade agreement announced by the governments of India and the US, saying it would reduce trade barriers and strengthen bilateral economic cooperation. The industry leaders said that the deal would boost key Indian exports.
This marks a decisive shift from protectionism to partnership. The partnership between world's two largest democracies, and especially US has a scale, and our MSMEs and other entrepreneurs industry will get access to the $30 trillion market in United States. And this will also boost already affected sectors like textile, gems and jewelry, pharmaceutical, generic drugs, aircraft parts. I think this is a great opportunity for the industry, for our MSMEs.
India on Friday strongly condemned the suicide bombing at a mosque in Islamabad, expressing condolences for the loss of lives and rejecting Pakistan's attempt to blame external forces for the attack. In an official statement issued on February 6th, India said the bombing at Islamabad Mosque was condemnable and extended sympathy to the victims and their families. The statement added that it was unfortunate that Pakistan, instead of addressing deep-rooted issues within its own social fabric, continued to delude itself by blaming others for its homegrown ills. India categorically rejected any allegations levelled against it, calling them baseless and pointless. On Friday, an attacker opened fire at the gates of a mosque in Islamabad before setting off a suicide bomb and killing at least 31 people in the deadliest attack of its kind in Pakistan's capital in more than a decade. Meanwhile, Islamic State claimed responsibility for this attack in Islamabad. The capital witnessed another suicide attack on November 11th last year, which had killed 12 people, injuring 27. Pakistani authorities then had blamed an Afghan national to have carried out that attack. Indian Coast Guard busted an international oil smuggling racket on 6th of February through an intricate sea-air network-centered operation. 3 vessels were intercepted by ICG ships about 100 nautical miles west of Mumbai. The operation was triggered after ICG's tech-inclusive maritime surveillance systems detected a motor tanker engaged in suspicious movements within the Indian exclusive economic zone. This prompted an in-depth digital and behavioral analysis of the vessel's activity. The vessels involved devised a method to smuggle large volumes of cheap oil and oil-based cargo from conflict-ridden countries and profit by mid-sea transfer to motor tankers in international waters. The vessels were also found to have frequently changed their identities, including vessel names and flag details, a deliberate attempt to evade tracking and law enforcement action by multiple coastal states. Preliminary investigations have revealed the owners of the vessels are based in foreign countries, further highlighting international dimension of the racket. You're watching DD India Live, still to come on the show. Thailand readies ballot boxes for election and constitutional referendum on Sunday. And on the Wall Street, Dow Jones hits historic 50,000 mark as Nvidia and other chip makers score due to traders' focus on AI spending.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Tanvi Taneja. US President Donald Trump on Friday said that Washington held very good talks on Iran after the two sides held an indirect dialogue in Oman. Talking to media on board Air Force One, Trump described the discussion as very good and said more negotiations were planned for early next week. Iran, on its part, said that it expected to hold more negotiations with the United States, hailing a positive atmosphere during a day of talks in Oman. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, who led Iran's delegation in Muscat, said talks focused exclusively on the Iranian nuclear program. Shortly after the talks concluded, the US announced new sanctions against shipping entities and vessels aimed at curbing Iran's oil exports. However, it was not clear if the move was linked to the talks. Also, the US president signed an executive order on Friday that may impose tariffs on countries doing business with Iran. The White House posted on X saying President Trump signed an executive order confronting the Iranian regime, establishing a process to impose tariffs on countries that continue purchasing goods or services from Iran. The executive order said that the levy may be imposed on goods imported into the United States that are products of any country that directly or indirectly purchases, imports or otherwise acquires any goods or services from Iran. Colombia has started negotiations with Ecuador aimed at easing a growing trade dispute between the two neighbors, sparked by disagreements over the fight against drug trafficking. Colombia's foreign minister said talks are now underway after both countries imposed reciprocal tariffs on dozens of products. The dispute began after Ecuador accused Colombia of failing to do enough to curb organized crime near the border. Colombia's President Gustavo Petro met with U.S. President Donald Trump this week, who agreed to help mediate the tariff dispute. Meanwhile, Colombian and Ecuadorian foreign ministers held an initial meeting in Panama last week. Officials on both sides say talks are continuing, but no timeline has been announced for a potential agreement. Thailand's Election Commission officials conducted strict checks on ballot boxes and ballot papers in Bangkok ahead of Sunday's general election and constitutional referendum as the country prepares to vote. Officials counted the ballots, inspected the ballot boxes for any foreign objects and signed them off in sequence as part of transparency measures ahead of the voting. The election follows Prime Minister Anutin Charnvirakul's decision to dissolve parliament in December amid political uncertainty, making him the third Thai leader since the 2023 polls. Voting will take place on Sunday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. local time, with counting set to begin immediately after polls close. The 11th edition of Nepal Buildcon International Expo, a 4-day exhibition, began in Kathmandu. The expo has brought together industry professionals, companies and innovators from several countries. Large number of Indian companies with Made in India products were exhibited in the expo. On to some weather updates now. Southern Spain evacuated 200 people in Doordarshan as Storm Leonardo brought flooding and landslide risks, with more storms forecast. One of Spain's major rivers was close to bursting its banks on Friday as authorities continued to respond to severe flooding in southern Andalusia region. More than 7,000 people have been evacuated so far after a storm train of successive weather fronts brought heavy rain and strong winds across Portugal and Spain in recent weeks. Spain's state weather agency, IMET, warned that another storm named Marta is expected to hit the Iberian Peninsula on Saturday, bringing further heavy rainfall. In Portugal, large parts of Alcácer do Sal remained partially submerged for a third day on Friday after Storm Leonardo caused the River Sardo to overflow, flooding streets and riverside areas. Water levels appeared to ease slightly as the tide receded, but many homes and businesses were left damaged after days of being underwater. Earlier on Thursday, Prime Minister Luis Montenegro said that the government had extended a state of calamity in 69 municipalities until mid-February, adding unprecedented rainfall and flood risks threatened several regions. And some business news now. Major stock indices on the Wall Street rallied strongly on Friday, with the Dow Jones Industrial Average finishing above 50,000 mark for the first time, rebounding after a day of declines driven by risk-off sentiment. The Dow Jones hence climbed more than 1,200 points to reach 50,137, surpassing its previous record high set on Tuesday. The S&P 500 jumped 1.5%, while the tech-heavy Nasdaq Composite Index climbed 1.7%. Nvidia shares surged over 8%, while Broadcom and Tesla posted sizable gains. Amazon was the biggest loser on Dow on Friday, falling 5.6% after announcing that it had planned $200 billion in capital spending in 2026 to build up AI capacities. And on to sports news now. The stage is set for the 10th edition of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup. The Indian team, led by Suryakumar Yadav is all set to take on the USA in Mumbai today. India is considered one of the strongest contenders to win the World Cup, while the USA is known for springing surprises and has impressed everyone with their performance in the warm-up matches. Gaurav Kumar reports.
Defending champion India will open their T20 World Cup campaign against a spirited USA at the Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai, hoping to become the first team to defend the coveted crown. While number one India have only gone from strength to strength, despite losing two pillars in Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli from their title-winning campaign of 2024, ratcheting up an overall 9 series wins since, including a rampant run in the Asia Cup last year. Opener Abhishek Sharma is in red-hot form. Giving him company will be Ishan Kishan, who has more or less cemented his spot at the top of the order following Sanju Samson's disappointing outing in the New Zealand series. Both Abhishek and Ishan play an aggressive brand of cricket, providing a strong platform and setting the template for the rest of the batting lineup to adapt according to match situations. Captain Suryakumar Yadav has drawn immense confidence from the recent New Zealand series, a boost that has energized the entire squad with renewed belief. In the bowling department, Jasprit Bumrah and Arshdeep Singh are expected to take charge with the new ball, while Kuldeep Yadav and Varun Chakrabarti form a potent spin combination in the middle overs.
कोई भी टीम के अगेंस्ट खेलो वर्ल्ड कप में आई थिंक सारे गेम इंपॉर्टेंट रहेंगे. आप किसी भी टीम को लाइटली नहीं ले सकते हो. ये जो फॉर्मेट है, ये फॉर्मेट में यू जस्ट रिक्वायर 2 गुड बैटर्स ऑन अ गिवन डे और 1 or 2 गुड bowlers टू मेक अ डिफरेंस. वी हैव सीन इट बिफोर ड्यूरिंग द T20 वर्ल्ड कप्स और any tournaments that yes teams have troubled a lot of teams, so we'll have to bring our A game, set the tone.
USA, on the other hand, are coming off after spending 3-week camp in Sri Lanka. The team impressed the most in the 2024 edition by delivering a strong group stage performance and securing a place in the Super 8. However, USA has not played a T20 international match since April 2025. In the 2025 season, they won 8 of their 9 matches, though those victories came against teams such as Oman, Canada, and Bermuda. Statistically, India and the USA have faced each other just once in T20 international so far, a match that ended in India's favor.
Will this Indian team can create history by winning the World Cup title? Can they defend their title? This is the $1 million question which is around the Indian fans. If we look out to this Indian team, they have a deeper batting lineup with Suryakumar Yadav, Ishan Kishan, Tilak Verma all set to perform. With cameraman S. Jayashankar, this is Gaurav Kumar reporting from Mumbai, DD India.
And that's all for this edition of DD India Live. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on our different social media handles at DD India Live. For those on the go, you can download our DD India mobile app for news and updates from India and the world. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja. From all of us here in New Delhi, thank you for watching. Namaskar.